Good evening, Mr. Ham. How are you?
I am wonderful, Mr. Claywell. I hope you've had a good couple of weeks since the last time we got together and done this. I know I have.
Well, it's been all right. I was a little bit sick.
Yeah.
Getting over a bit of a cold. Didn't have the flu or anything nasty, fortunately.
That's good. Yeah. I'm hoping that the sickness has ran its course through my place. It seems like we all ended up with it at one point.
Yeah. That's no fun.
No.
Especially when you got the little ones.
No, not at all. Not at all. Since we did this last, we've had a little bit of the white stuff outside.
Stupid white murder fluff. Go away.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed it, though. I mean, I got to sleep in a couple of days. We did have to go in the last couple of days that we were off for the I-Learn days that they have here, the non-traditional instruction days. Wasn't so bad. Got to work in the classroom for a little while and get things done, and it was not so bad. So
yeah. Well, and then they're saying this coming weekend we're supposed to get like a foot and a half. Just please no.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to line up to be a pretty massive event from what I've gathered. And this is one of those deals where it's hitting right about the same time that we had the one when I think it was 98. I remember my brother's birthday was on February 8th, and we had gone, my girlfriend at the time and I had gone to see Aerosmith on I want to say it was like the 3rd or 4th of February. I literally wore short sleeves and shorts to the show. It was almost 70 degrees. It was beautiful. That was on Saturday night, Friday night, Saturday night, something like that. On Tuesday, it started snowing. On Wednesday, we had 10 inches. By Friday, there was some kids, some dudes that was there at Commonwealth Hall that took a yardstick out and dropped it in the snow, and it disappeared. It was unreal. It was a massive amount of snow, and it was right at the beginning of February. These are when the big ones hit typically. So I hope we don't get one like that, but
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, it could be nasty.
Don't wish that on us, man.
I'm wishing it against it. Thank you everyone for talking with us after the last episode. I learned quite a bit, and I didn't realize that the gaming industry had become what it had become, because back whenever it was Mario Brothers, when I was playing video games, you didn't have all of that. But I've had some pretty good feedback from it. I've actually heard from a few of my guys that I've run around with that have talked about how terrible some of the games have become, because it has become just corporate. It's all money now.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
So appreciate it.
But I've got that off my chest.
Good.
I'm all raged out for a while.
Good deal.
I'm ready to talk about something else.
All right, so tonight we've got something fun. There are so many things out there that are developed in its own universe. When I say that, comic book people, there's the DC, the Marvel. You've got those universes and how everything interconnects and people live in the same universe.
Right.
The Star Wars universe, for anybody that's out there that's our Star Wars people. You got the Star Trek universe. You've got, just about anything that's in entertainment, books, movies, whatever. They have their own world.
Yep. Harry Potter land.
No, I love that one. I'm going to try my best here in the next couple of years to get down to Universal and just experience it. I want to live it.
It does look fun.
It does. It does indeed. I watched a video the other day of someone being their wand selecting them. Have you seen those things?
I haven't seen that. No.
Oh, it's so awesome. You go into Ollivander's and he comes out, it's about every 20 or 30 minutes. He'll come out and he'll select someone out of the little crowd of people that's in there, and he will personally fit them for their wand. And
I'm sure those only cost $100,
they're
$200.
They're $50. The same as the other ones. All of them in that, because it's Harry Potter themed. Even the replicas that I saw at Barnes and Noble the other night were $50. And these are interactive with the entire setting. So the whole
down in Diagon Alley.
Yeah,
right?
Everything is interacts with the wands, and so
not diagonally.
Not diagonally, because you end up in a fireplace if you do that.
Yeah. You want to go to Diagon Alley.
So he comes out and he does a selection, or lets you, fits you for a wand, and when it you give it a flick and like glass breaks or things fly off of the shelves. And then when you finally do get the one that that selects you, like the lights all come on and this, like the air, it's just, it's really, really awesome. It's a good little like YouTube look up, Ollivander's wand selection at Universal. It's pretty awesome.
And like a halo comes over you and you hear like, whoa.
You really do the music. Like,
oh, yeah, that's nice.
It's pretty cool.
That would be really fun for a little kid. And God bless their parents if they don't have $50 after that.
Amen. So the universe that I want to dive into tonight is one that I didn't even realize that it was a thing until just a few years ago. And I got bored on a rain day or a snow day at Hinkle and was sitting there and clicking through a couple of web pages. And I don't know how I ended up on this, but the Disney Pixar universe and how it all works together.
Yeah. Now, you had mentioned this earlier when we were talking about some conspiracy theories. And
I did. And like I said, whenever I clicked on this, the first thing I saw was this little short, like 2 or 3 minute video. And I was like, "Ooh, that's interesting." And then started clicking the links that were under that. And it is a really, really fleshed out thing.
Yeah. Now, I had heard the same thing, that they were all the same universe, but I always kind of pictured it as just, they just like Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They don't necessarily all tie together. They're just happening in the same.
They just all happen in the same
right.
general universe. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. And then I started reading about this because we were going to talk about it, and holy smokes.
Not only is it the same universe, but it's a singular storyline.
It is one story. If
the theory
holds up.
And there's a lot of evidence. I mean, there really is. I don't know if it's a grand scheme, or if there's a giant playbook that they're just pulling movies out of here and there. I don't know how it's working, but it is. It's working. Because it ties together. There's so many things, and they drop little hints in each movie. And when you start looking for them, it's mind-blowing. It really, really is. So
it does get to me, and I'm wondering, is it, well, I don't know. It's twisted. I got to say that. It's so twisted, and it really bent my mind when I started reading about this stuff.
Yeah. It's fun.
So tonight we want to talk you through the twisted, tangled world universe of Pixar.
Pixar, yes, absolutely. And, of course, for those of you who have not seen the Disney Pixar movies, there will be spoilers. I'm just going to let you know. So if you haven't seen them, even if you haven't seen them and you want to go ahead and continue listening at this point, it'll at least clue you in on what to look for in some of these movies. So that way you can go, oh, there it is. I see. I can see where it connects.
Well, I got to say, we're going to talk about some stuff that I don't really consider it spoilers, though, because we're not going to ruin key plot elements.
No, it's more like Easter eggs.
For most of the films, we're going to be more talking about Easter eggs and some hidden things. And a couple of the films, we're going to ruin some of the surprises in the film. But for the most part, it's just going to be us talking about some of the Easter egg kind of things that are left through the films.
So all of you adults out there that have kids and they have to watch Toy Story. I know my little pumpkin right now is obsessed with Woody and Buzz. They've been playing it like crazy on Disney Junior, and like all she has to do is hear Tom Hanks's voice. It doesn't matter if he's doing the part of Woody or something else. She hears Tom Hanks's voice and her eyes go straight to the television because she expects Woody to be there.
Well, son.
So for those parents out there that are having to watch these movies over and over and over and over again, hope this part of this is for you, because you're going to be the one that gets to see this linear progression that goes through these. So do you want to kick it off, sir, or would you like me to?
I'll try to start.
Okay.
I'll try to start. So what we're going to say is all of the Pixar films are one continuous story. So every story has to have a beginning and an end.
Yes.
And we have those elements.
Absolutely.
So the beginning of this story, for the most part, as of the research that we could find, which was from a guy, John Negroni, is who I pulled most of my research from.
And I pull a lot of my research from the Pixar Theory. It's their website, and it kind of outlines everything.
But both of them, they agree on the major points. There's some differences between our two researchings on some of the minor specifics.
But the overarching theme is there.
For the most part, it's there. There's agreement between the two. The writings, both of these, I think, were written about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, roughly.
So some of the newer films aren't included.
Yeah, you basically you don't have. I think I saw an update where we had Inside Out that was put into one. The Good Dinosaur, Coco. Some of the newer films are just now being dropped in to the John Negroni site.
Right.
But the Disney Pixar, the Pixar Theory one by 97th Floor it is not it hasn't updated those, and I don't know if they're just not maintaining the site or what, but it's still it's a very, very thorough fleshed out theory. So
right. Yeah, the theory still holds. They're just finding the clues to fit all these films in and keep them in order. But for the most part, we're going to start in the world of Brave.
14th and 15th century. So we're talking, 1400s, right?
Yeah, medieval times.
Okay.
This and in Brave, we all know that the story follows Merida, the lovely, fiery little redhead, and she discovers that there is magic in the world.
Right.
And the magic that she finds is through the will-o'-the-wisps.
Yep.
And she uses that magic to try to solve all of her problems, but in doing so, she accidentally turns her mother into a bear.
Right.
And she traces the source of the magic down to this odd kind of goofy old witch that lives out away from everybody. And but you also learn in this film that she observes that after using the magic, that the animals start to act
very
more human-like.
Very human-like. They take on human characteristics.
They start to take on human characteristics and such.
Right.
We also learn that the witch, every time she goes through a door, she disappears.
Mysteriously, she just kind of vanishes.
Yeah.
So it's like she
can't find her.
Right. So she'll step through a door. Merida follows her to ask questions or try to track her down, and she's gone like instantly. Now, in the theory that I've seen here, eventually this will-o'-wisp magic that has been that they have found in this world, it spawns the birth of superpowers in certain humans. So you take this power, basically just kind of slowly evolving for roughly 400 plus years, 400 to 500 years. By the time you get to the 1950s and 60s, which is the time that The Incredibles takes place, then superheroes, they are the ones that are kind of maintaining order in this world where, you still have the animals that are doing their thing. But you don't really hear a whole lot about that in The Incredibles. But their arch nemesis in this theory, Buddy, which is the bad guy, of course, he creates two different elements that he wants to bring down this world with. The first being self-serving AI bots, which would be like the Omnidroid. The other is this power that he keeps using, this energy source that he keeps using that's called ZPE, 0 point energy. It's like an electromagnetic energy source, and it exists in like this vacuum. And at this point, this is where we start to see the machines like taking on roles and eradicating their threat, which would be the supers. Now, you jump forward just a little bit, and this energy that is unleashed by Buddy is going to eventually get to a point to where other like inanimate objects are going to absorb this power. I'm thinking that John does his theory just a little bit different, right? At this is the point where the two kind of separate.
Right. Yeah. So the theory John has, or he and his collaborators, I'm not sure that this work is exclusively his, but on his site, the way they pose the theory is that all of this stems back to the magic from the Will of the Wisps. That magic forks, and what happens is some of it splits off and kind of pushes the evolution of animals into more intelligent and being more human-like, as we see some of the animals acting in Brave. And another part of that pushes off into influencing other inanimate objects, sort of like what we see in the Witch's Workshop. You can see some brooms moving around by themselves and doing human kind of things without anybody interacting with them. And then from there, over the course of time, those two separate kind of delineations of the magic evolve further as time goes.
Right. And also in the Disney Pixar universe, this is where you start to see the split of their two films, or they're the core of their films, because on the one side you have the animal side, on the other side you have the object side. You get like 97, 98, 99, you have Toy Story. So you get these things that are going on with the objects.
Okay, real quick, while you're talking, well, when we're talking about the years, we're not talking about chronological release of the films.
No.
We're referencing the time periods that the movies are believed to take place.
Right. This is the timeline itself is the timeline of the universe, not when they were released. So 97, 98, 99, this is when Toy Story is supposed to have taken place. And then within just a couple of years of that, 2 to 5 years from that, you also have like Finding Nemo and Ratatouille, which shows what's happening with the animals. So you have basically they're looking at, okay, this is what happens on land, this is what happens with some of the animals in the ocean, and then with Ratatouille as well. 2007-ish with Linguini and all of that. So, but the Toy Story, this is the first time that we start to see these inanimate objects really coming to life and having their own personality. Now the toys themselves, these sentient objects, they come up with a code of rules. They learn these things. They learn that humans' love is like another energy source. And they're able to tap this because obviously they're toys and kids love their toys. So this is something that they thrive on. And they get to a point where they are obsessed with making their owners happy. And that can be seen throughout with every one of Andy's toys where he scribbles his little name on their foot. That is a mark for them, and they are so proud of that mark, and they will do pretty much anything to get back to Andy and to make sure that he is pleased. Now, when they are isolated, they're put on display like in a museum or something like that, where you kind of like what you see in Toy Story 2, specifically with Jessie, where she was abandoned by her owner, her human. They start to resent their owners. They start to get angry. Now, this doesn't necessarily, diminish their power as far as like the energy that drives these inanimate objects. However, it does affect their world, because when they're not pleasing their humans, at that point, bad things start to happen. And you can see that with Prospector. You can see that with Jessie. I mean, and the only one of those, though, that little group that really doesn't have that issue is Bullseye, and he just seems to be the dumb, lucky little guy that I mean, I don't know. Bullseye is just, he's so innocent. That's the thing with Bullseye. So with the Toy Story movies, and in the theory that I've seen, that really is where you start to see these inanimate objects that have absorbed this will-o-wisp power that's evolved over the years and became, I don't know, their own sentient beings. They're going to eventually, it's going to lead down this rabbit hole even further, I guess you'd say.
Right. So I want to start after the split. I want to talk about the animal side.
Okay.
To kind of keep it in a little bit more of a chronological storyline order. Because the AI side, the inanimate object side kind of leaps.
It does.
So I
it does.
I want to talk about the animals for a little while. So we see some of the further evolution of the animals in Ratatouille and Finding Nemo, and then Up and Finding Dory. Those films.
Right.
In Ratatouille, we see that Remy wants to learn how to cook, and it's something that only humans do. So he starts to make a relationship with this human and experiment and become a chef. And you notice that the animals are capable of overcoming their base natures, their fear of humans, and kind of making one of those steps forward in being more than what their base animal side should be.
You even get to a point with Ratatouille that he, like Remy, even goes to the point of controlling Linguini, like
more or less
arm movement. I mean, we're talking it's hilarious. The sequence is hilarious to watch, but the amount of control that Remy the rat has over this human is unreal. I mean, it's amazing, and like you say, it's because they have developed this cognitive skill. And they are becoming more human-like.
Right. And then in Finding Nemo, you got all these animals that have these little towns, and they've got schools where they teach their children. This is all kind of based off, human society type structures. But
just a real quick there, in that the school bus being the Stingray.
I thought he was a teacher.
No, the Stingray, is he not the bus? Isn't he not like the one that takes them from place to place? They're all like swimming on top of him, and he'll drop them off places.
Yeah, but I thought he was
he
their
the teacher as well?
Yeah.
He may be the teacher. I
he
thought
takes
that
them
was
on field
awesome.
trips.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a really, really awesome little thing they threw in
there. But in Finding Nemo and in later on in Finding Dory, which isn't in the anyway, the thing that we see in the movies is most of the other fish shun Dory because of her intelligence.
Right.
She has
inadequate.
She's not up to par with all the rest of the fish. She's forgetful and dumb, and so they shun her. And that just kind of shows that the fish are evolving. The animal life is evolving. They're becoming more intelligent, and they don't want to associate with things that remind them of their past.
Right. And she is more fish-like.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's more like
she's kind of the missing link.
Yeah. Yeah. She kind of bridges the gap between fish and what the wildlife is becoming at this point through the influence of the will-o'-the-wisp magic.
Right. Right. So yeah. And then in Finding Dory, if we do throw that one in there, we go back and we see where she was actually part of a display at an aquarium. She made friends with pretty much everyone, and even her parents in that film realize that she's different, that she's not like the others around her.
Right.
And they try to shelter her, and they try to protect her from what they know is coming, because
they try to help her learn to deal with her inadequacies.
Pretty much. And it's one of those films that's fairly eye-opening whenever you start to look at how the animals interact in the Pixar universe, because I mean you start to see like social classes and social norms and things of that nature in this little world. And yeah, that one it's pretty amazing when you look at like you say, the fact that all of this is taking place in one storyline. So,
right. So after we get past Ratatouille and Finding Nemo and Finding Dory.
Yep, and that's roughly 2003, 2007-ish, according to mine anyway. Is that where you're about, where you're at?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay.
They're a few years apart, but roughly. Then we get the next one that we come to is with dealing with the animal side of things is Up.
Okay.
And in Up, we see a further jump where now the animals are even more or less directly communicating with people.
Right.
Not just as Remy and Linguini with the kind of marionette puppet show kind of thing. The dog Doug actually is verbally communicating with the people. I'm totally blanking on their names now.
Well, see, Carl discovers that these animals can communicate. He starts to recognize these norms, these things, these interactions, and these norms that are happening in the animal world, and creates the collar, which effectively taps into the brain of the dog, and he can now talk through the collar and communicate directly with Carl, which is a huge step forward for the animal side.
Right. And now here's an interesting little twist from John.
Okay.
So the guy that creates the collar was Charles Muntz.
Charles Muntz.
The villain of Up.
Yeah, not Carl.
Carl was the old man that floated
Carl
this house
and
on the
Charles. Pretty close together.
Yeah. So what if Charles Muntz got his idea for creating this collar because he had heard of these relationships, these hyper intelligent animals from Chef Skinner, who was the bad guy from Ratatouille, who just kind of disappears by the end of the film.
Right. He's gone.
Yeah. So, what maybe Chef Skinner talking to some people
and one of these people, what happened here to me,
telling people this crazy story about what he saw at his restaurant.
And Charles actually dives in and says, wait. Yeah. There may be something here.
Yeah. So then Charles Muntz uses that rumor to start building up and develop this technology to harness the thoughts of animals, primarily in his case, dogs.
Right.
Through the translator collars.
And I do believe that if, just in my own theory thrown in here, specifically with the reason that he uses dogs is because of ease of access. Everybody's got dogs. They're everywhere. And something that could be fitted around their neck. It's not like you're fitting it around a bear or something. So, but anyway,
and they're easy to train.
They're easy. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that was probably why that was chosen.
So then anyway, he winds up freeing Doug and all the other dogs after he dies. We don't really know what happens after all that yet. Maybe that'll come in another film. Who knows? They start to cross the line there of being subservient creatures. They're starting to become equals at this point.
Right. This is kind of the tipping point between the animals and the humans. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and then here's what I want to say on the twist of the theory here is that soon to be, we're going to come to a point where there starts to be a struggle for survival. There's a point where the animals realize that people are destroying the planet.
Right.
And that they have to stop it.
Right.
And the only way that they can stop it is to get rid of the people.
Right. That's the ultimate, okay, this is our fix.
Yeah.
Right. So on the other side, the AI side of this, at the same time really, or kind of in between there, right about the time when Up is taking place, you have Toy Story 3 that also takes place.
Right. Yep.
This is 3 years later. Toys have gone through a bunch. I mean, a lot with humans because I mean we've seen Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2. We know what's done to them. I mean, just take poor Sid and the toys that are around him. Bad situation for toys. They've been abused. They've been both physically and emotionally by humans. And in Toy Story 3, you have Lotso, which is the little pink-ish, purplish hugging bear. He just hates humans. Like he we see why in the film. His human basically loses him. They go out on this road trip picnic type thing, and he gets left behind along with the little baby doll, and they eventually make it back to the house to see that they've been replaced, both of them. They look in the window, and the little girl that lost Lotso and the baby doll, her mom has bought her a new Lotso doll and a new baby doll. And he realizes at that point that he, as well as all other toys, are completely replaceable. And the animosity and anger toward humans at that point just overflows with this guy. So he starts trying to take care of his own kind, his own, like the toys, and he creates this hierarchy where he is kind of the head guy, and starts really watching out for the toys to the point that any threat he puts in the preschool room, so that way the little kids can destroy them. This is another reason, though, that the machines and objects, they're ready to take over at this point, because he's not the only one that sees this. It's just kind of a thing that's going on throughout this entire world. Carl and Ellie, which is from Up,
right?
They write to Andy telling him to get rid of his toys. They know what's going on. We know that because we see a postcard that's written, or a note that's written to Andy, and we know that it was from them because like the names, the address, everything is there, and it's basically saying, get rid of your toys. We know what's about to happen. And so at that point, we know that Carl and Ellie are still around, and they're everything is okay with them. So it's just before the movie Up that Toy Story 3 takes place, because Ellie's still alive, elderly but still alive. So at that point, my theory jumps way ahead. Where does yours go?
Well, no, at this point, because we've been dealing with the animal side of things, so at this point we've gotten up to Toy Story and Finding Nemo.
Yep, and
Ratatouille and Up.
Yeah.
So now my story jumps back a little bit.
Okay, so yours goes backward just a touch.
Yeah, because we go through the animals first, and
right.
and you know all the stuff that's going on in Finding Nemo and the pollution and the animal experimentation and all this stuff, and that kind of explains the animal motivations.
Right. So
now we're going to jump back a little bit, and we're going to talk about. Now you said that Buddy creates the 0-point energy and all this stuff.
Yeah, and the theory that is written up on Pixartheory.com, Buddy is the one that creates these two things for bringing down the superpowered humans, the Omnidroid and the 0-point energy. Now yours is different though, right?
Mine's a little different because mine says all of this all stems back from the Will-O-Wisp.
Right.
You know, Buddy is the big villain. Syndrome,
right,
is the big villain who commits genocide against all the supers, right?
Right.
Or is he?
Well, see, that's the thing. You were talking about...
He didn't have any superpowers.
No. His thing is technology.
What does he use?
Technology.
He uses technology. He has a artificially intelligent robot, Omnidroid,
right,
that he sends out to learn all the superheroes' abilities and then eliminate them.
So the thing is the difference here. I think in your theory, or in my theory, he creates that.
And my theory kind of stipulates that maybe he didn't so much create it as befriend it.
So it's already there.
It had already come around to be. And what were the biggest threat to the machines, the same as the animals at this point, would have been the superheroes. And you even see footage of the superheroes being taken out by inanimate objects like airplanes,
right,
and other things. Or were they inanimate objects?
Or were they intelligent, right?
Or were they intelligent? And you might be asking, why would these things be going after humans? Well, because they're the biggest threat to the planet.
Right.
We're destroying the planet. And there's other reasons. We know all the stuff that we're doing to the animals, and like Mr. Ham here is saying, we come to find out in Toy Story all the abuse and neglect and all the stuff that the toys have been put through. You see that they even violate their own primary self-imposed, inanimate object status in front of a human,
right,
to take on Sid. Jesse is upset with Emily for abandoning her. Hug and Bear hates all humans by the end of the third film.
Yeah, Lotso, yeah.
And now with all the superhumans gone, mankind is vulnerable. You got the animals that are trying to rise up, a la Planet of the Apes.
Yep, you have the inanimate objects, the AI.
And now you've also
that's rising
got this AI that's rising up, but
they're
never overthrown.
Right, and we're the squishy ones. The humans are the squishy part of this, right?
Yeah, but it never happens.
No, it doesn't happen as in all-out war, Matrix style or anything like that. But I think the de-evolution of humans by these other, factions that are taking on this universe is ultimately the downfall of humans.
Well,
that's kind of the overarching. That's the plan, the move, anyway.
It never happened. Or does it happen?
Well,
maybe. If you look at it, in the story of the films, who ultimately removes humans from the planet?
Ultimately?
Yeah.
There is a corporation.
Right.
And this corporation is this thing that exists throughout multiple Pixar films.
Yeah.
And the corporation is called, by and large, B&L. Right. You see it everywhere. It's the batteries that power...
But who's B&L?
The man.
Or is it
artificial intelligence?
Artificial intelligence taking over a corporation, a faceless entity. It can't be seen.
It could be. That could be. I can see that for sure. Absolutely, I can see that for sure. It is one of the common threads through a lot of these films, and almost every one of them, by and large, is in some way portrayed, whether it be through batteries or whether it be through fuel source for cars or through Pizza Planet owned by and large corporation, or the supermarket, B&L supermarket, and Wally. What all of these, B&L is there, and
the firm that's trying to expand the city that's going to destroy Carl's house
is by and large corporation. And it's the catalyst for the whole balloon fiasco in Up. So by and large it is kind of. If the Will-O-Wisp and magic is the means of, this is kind of the push that gets it going, by and large is.
Right.
So,
but like I said, my theory stipulates the theory I'm following here,
right,
stipulates that by and large is actually controlled by an AI that's making the decisions to get rid of the humans to preserve the planet.
And I can see that. And I don't want to jump too far forward in our timeline here.
Right.
But we see that in Wall-E. Specifically in Wall-E. So when we get to Wall-E, I think that will be an overarching theme of that.
Okay. Well, that's where I'm heading. Where are you going?
Toy Story. Or not Toy Story. Cars 1 and 2. Because after Up... Well, in my theory here, in the theory that I have here, you have
in the chronological order though.
This is chronological for this outline.
Well, okay, so we have a little difference here.
Okay,
so the way I'm understanding it is
what happens next with
Cars.
Yours?
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it a little bit. In Cars, right? There's no people.
There are no people.
So there's
a big time jump between Up and Cars on mine.
Same. But in my theory, this is where, by and large, through the growth and industrialization of the world, has made it uninhabitable by humans at this point.
Okay, so
and they have had at this point is when they have had to load everybody onto the Axiom,
right,
and send them out,
right.
Then we come to cars.
Okay. So let's do exactly. So that's what happens. You get a
So
time.
we kind of have to talk a little bit about WALL-E
to get to cars,
right? And then we come back to the main plot of
WALL-E. Absolutely. So let's do that then. So between Up and Cars, at that point we have this evolution of mankind basically destroying the planet,
right?
And it gets to a point that it is uninhabitable. Earth has just. It's dying. All of the vegetation is gone. The B&L Corporation has basically turned Earth into Coruscant. If for any Star Wars geeks that are out there, it's just one giant city. That's a world. That's a city.
Okay, yeah.
So they basically turn this into this, and there's junk and garbage everywhere.
Right.
So
pollution.
The few little vestiges of civilization that is still habitable is not habitable by humans, but it is habitable by these inanimate objects that have now their own life and personality,
right?
I.e., cars.
They don't need the vegetation. They don't need
all they need
food.
All they need is fuel and oil and some maintenance done on them, and they're good to go. So, somewhere between Up and Cars, the Axiom is loaded up. What humans are left are sent into space, and they basically say, we're going to leave people or these robots behind to clean up our mess. And while that's going on, you have an entire, I guess, subspecies, the cars, that take over and do their own thing.
Cars and planes and
they are basically what's left behind,
right?
Which is another one of those interesting things where this magic, the will-o-wisp magic, has infiltrated these inanimate objects, such as cars and planes and helicopters and all that kind of stuff.
Or in your case, the 0-point energy.
Or the 0-point energy. All of this stuff is there, and that's what makes these things work, right?
Right.
So, at this point, we're at Cars.
And we're in Cars, and we know that Cars takes place on our Earth.
Roughly.
Not a different planet.
Nope.
Because they go to all these other countries.
And they go to the other countries, and they go to landmarks that we recognize.
They go to human landmarks.
Is still there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is, you see it. You've seen, it's terrible looking. There's nothing hardly left over of it. So, yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying, though. You know it's our Earth.
Right.
Because they visit landmarks that humans made.
Right.
So that's how we know that Cars takes place on Earth.
Even use our language. I mean, the V8 Cafe, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, right. So after the pollution is to a point where humans can't be here, Cars, the machines take over. The machines help humans a little bit. According to this one, it says here that machines saved the humans and they won the war. However, since the machines helped humans win, it tipped the balance on Earth. And then the machines, the B&L Corporation, had to send the remaining humans off in the Axiom to basically put the Earth back to a point where it's inhabitable by humans. Now, that's completely different than what John says.
Now,
his is completely different.
Yeah. So the animals and the machines win.
Right.
Because it's the animals and the machines versus the humans.
Right.
So they have successfully accomplished their goal of pushing mankind off the planet.
Right.
And then we have...
You said the animals and the machines?
The animals and the machines.
Okay, so now in this one, mine specifically says that it can't be the animals because nothing is left but the machines. The only thing that is left is the insects, like small things, like the cockroach that's in WALL-E. But the animals themselves are also gone. So, I mean, both theories can ring true, but that's just the thing that they put in here to back up what they say.
Well, but so the machines and the animals were both working to try to push humans out.
Right.
The problem was the machines pushed too far and made the entire planet completely uninhabitable.
So you end up having the animals gone and the humans gone.
So they killed off all the animals because of the pollution.
Okay.
But they pushed the humans. The humans fled on the Axiom.
Right.
But yes,
it's the same.
It's
realistically the same. Yes.
It's just that in mind, the humans or the animals and the machines both are trying to work to push the humans off to save the planet.
Right.
But the machines get so much more advanced, so much more quickly, and they have so much more reaching power through the by and large corporation that they carry it way overboard.
Right.
And wind up making the planet completely uninhabitable for life.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense. So,
yeah. And so anyway, they push everybody off, and then we get to cars and planes and all those. Ultimately, what happens?
So ultimately, according to what I've got here, that's when after the cars like timeline takes place, which would be roughly between 2100 and 2200. You're looking at even the cars themselves are a polluting source, a pollution source,
right?
To the point that they even look at All in All or All in Oil or whatever it is, that corporation for green energies and things like that, to try to clean themselves up, and doesn't work. I mean, they pollute it to a point to where even they can't really survive on this planet.
There is a theory here about that as well,
right?
If you were to look at that, what's the phrase "all in all"?
All in all, all in all,
all in all. Isn't it pretty much the same as the phrase "by and large"?
Yeah, and it actually says the All in All Corporation was actually run by B&L, By and Large Corporation, that eventually pollute the whole earth to the point that with its uses of oil and fossil fuels that it can't sustain life by anything except the most, we're talking cockroaches. What will be left after the nukes, So the cars become decommissioned. We have no humans that are feeding with the energy that they have. And also, I want to jump in right there too, because the new theory about Inside Out, I really, really liked what they threw in there, where it talked about Pixar in roughly 2005-ish era, revealing the source of this human energy that all these inanimate objects are feeding off of, and how emotion is that fuel, and how different emotions create different levels of energy. And this is demonstrated, through the different, the different emotions that this little girl has in the movie Inside Out, like joy, her little. Her joy, and I can't remember the little blue one. She was effectively depression, but I don't remember what her name was. But
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But they are on this quest, and it shows the amount of energy, the energy levels that those two characters had. I mean, you basically have Joy dragging around the little blue one by the foot through most of the film, and I mean, it's like she just never runs out of power. And it really demonstrates where these, like the toys and the cars and anything that feeds off of that human emotion power it can pull that, even if it's like even the cars being disconnected from the humans. I think that might even lead to a point where they start to fail.
Well, so yeah, you're getting to it real quick. So what we think here is on this side, on John's side. Mm-hmm. So we get finished with all that. We come back to Wall-E now. After Cars and after all that, now we're to the actual main core story plot of Wall-E.
Okay.
All the humans are gone.
Mm-hmm.
But why don't you see... I mean, why is it that Wall-E is the only robot left?
Yeah. I mean, basically, he's the only little guy that's running around.
There's no more cars running around.
Nope.
There's no more other inanimate objects.
And everything is just... It's like... it's like deserted and dirty and just...
Right.
Yeah, it's just...
So why is it that Wall-E's the only one left?
Well, I think it has to do with what we just said.
Well, we know that Wall-E begins 800 years after humans left on the Axiom.
Right. So roughly, mine says 2,800. So yeah,
which was
right around 8,000 or 800 years, because roughly 2,000.
And the Axiom is completely governed by the autopilot.
Yes, it is.
Which is another AI.
By and large, is the creator. It's right on the outside of their ship.
So how come Wall-E's the only one left? We can only assume that it's his fascination with humans
and their culture
and the little emotional attachment he has created with a cockroach.
Yes.
That's allowed him to keep finding that level of fulfillment.
Yeah, it's his
in his daily routine.
It is his reason to get up each morning.
But that's why he was special and was able to liberate the humans.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So after he liberates them and brings everybody back, they land the Axiom. The humans disembark. This is again where we have a little bit of difference.
Okay.
Not much, but just a tiny bit. We see that they bring that little shoe out that's got the little tiny tree in it.
Yeah, and actually
plant it.
Right. And I think in both of our theories, though, where it moves that is the same. It's just...
Yeah.
Yes. So this little shoe that has the tree that grows into this...
And they show another shot later of the tree as it's developed.
Uh-huh. And it looks very, very, very familiar.
And it's a reason why we didn't mention this film earlier when we were talking about the animals.
Right.
This one is from A Bug's Life.
Right.
That central tree is the tree that Bug's Life starts out around.
Yep. It says the same plant here we see in Wall-E grew into the tree in A Bug's Life.
Yeah.
But now here's something too. Because of all of the things that have gone on in with animals, with the terrible pollution that we've had, the animals themselves have still moved forward in evolution to a point where they're talking to one another, they're doing these human characteristics,
right?
And it also tells us that these ants that are in A Bug's Life live much longer than your normal ant. Typical ant lives about 3 months. These, they specifically, one of them states he feels 90 again. So that would be roughly 90 days because each one of their days is a year for them. So they're able to live much, much, much longer. And a lot of them have alluded to them, living through an entire season because they're able to see what has happened and prepare for the things to come. So that was an interesting little just sidebar. That I thought.
and it is just how do we know what makes the theories place A Bug's Life so far into the future like this is primarily because of the lack of people.
Right.
A Bug's Life and Cars are pretty much the only two films
that are human free,
that don't have humans in them.
Right. Right.
And why are there no humans in A Bug's Life anywhere? The theory is that because it takes place so far in the future that there's so few humans left.
Yeah.
That they just never encounter humans.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure Axiom had a few thousand people on it.
Yeah, very
small number. And when they come back, I mean, they have to repopulate the planet.
Right.
It says that they don't mention humans because there are very few humans to make it dangerous enough for insects to worry about. But they do mention things like snakes, birds, bigger bugs that are out there. So those things are in the world that takes place in A Bug's Life. But humans, they're so few, they don't see them. And they're just not worried about it.
And that they mention those does show that the animal life has also started to return to the planet.
Right, right. You have an evolution of that's taking place, and the ants themselves are an evolutionary jump forward from what was, the ant. Even an evolutionary jump forward from the cockroach from Wall-E.
Right. So now there's one film left that we haven't discussed at all.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned it, I don't think.
You have.
Have I?
A little bit.
Oh. I didn't know I did. But okay.
I think. Maybe you didn't.
Maybe
I inferred that you mentioned it.
Maybe. I don't know.
But there's one film left.
I have two, but they kind of take place in the same.
Well,
yeah.
Monsters Inc. is the last film so it is the most distant future of our planet, according to the Pixar universe. 4,500
to 5,000 years, and is the time frame of this.
Right.
So, mine starts with Monsters University.
Well, I mean, university technically comes first because that's when they were in college. That's where they met. That's before they start working for the power company.
Yep.
But mine really glosses over and just kind of runs it into one thing.
Okay.
It's because there's not really key plot differences.
Right.
So what happened? In Monsters Inc., there's no more people.
You can't say that because we get Boo. You can't say because she's in the movie.
But in
the Monsters universe, in their Monsters realm,
in the Monsters civilization.
Yeah.
And where they're at, there's no people.
Now
and we said
it all takes place on Earth.
It all takes place on Earth. So where are these monsters? How did that fit in?
How do they become? Where do they come from?
Exactly.
Right.
If you're trying to tell me that everything in this takes place in one continuous story,
then it better all fit together, right? How do you get to Sully and Mike, right?
Yeah.
Mike Wazowski. So, according to what I've got here, hundreds of years after WALL-E takes place,
right?
The animals start to evolve and change due to this radiation that's caused by and large, the radiation and pollution. They evolve into the Monsters of Monsters, University Monsters, Inc. world. So they are what's left over of the animals after all of the pollution and all of the terrible things that take place between Up and the return of humans in WALL-E.
But then what happened to all the people from Axiom?
Well, yeah. So we know that this evolution into monsters eventually, according to this, accidentally wipes humans off the face of the planet. So they're gone. Now, this is where it gets tricky because, again, we have Boo. Monsters University, founded in 1313, this date is using the Monsters calendar, not ours, shows that it took place almost 1,400 years after A Bug's Life. Monster University, they falsely teach that monsters and humans were toxic and from another dimension, i.e. the doors to get from monsters' dimension into humans' dimension. They were worried about, basically being erased from history, these monsters are, but they didn't really know. No one taught them until the end of Monsters, Inc. really what this is all about. The machines didn't realize the mistake. They didn't realize that getting rid of all the humans was a mistake until it was already too late. Because humans in this entire universe is fuel for most of what takes place. And it's human emotion that is that fuel, i.e. fear in Monsters, Inc., right? So, what have you got over there?
Okay, so according to John, on the extras for the Monsters, Inc. DVD, there's a little clip in there where they say that there is a myth in the Monsters universe. There is a myth that humans that looked like animals rose up, rebelled against all the humans at some point, and overthrew them.
So you're talking about the animals being evolved into monsters, rose up against humans, right?
Right. Ultimately, the continued evolution of the animals after this point, the humans were never able, apparently, to establish a good foothold and were either overtaken by the animals that were there or, kind of gross maybe, interbred.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And that would explain how we ultimately get to the evolution of monsters with no humans or no animals.
Right. So, where does Boo come into all of this?
Well, so what happens is all the monsters know that humans are toxic.
Right.
Right?
Or that's what they're
common
taught.
knowledge.
That's
That's
what they're
common. That's the common knowledge.
That's what they're taught at the university.
Right.
If you ever come in contact with a human, you have to be decontaminated, or
Right.
It's the whole process, and
Right,
you have to wear
because
the
they're-
little collar.
Yeah.
The collar of
color
shame.
the cone of shame, because humans are toxic, so you can't come in contact with them. That's the common knowledge of the monsters universe, right?
Right. Right.
What if all the monsters were taught this because, in fact, humans are not from another universe and are not toxic,
And they're not from another dimension.
and they're not from another dimension. They're
What-
directly from the monster's own past.
So we're talking that now we're talking about time travel
Right.
and how that
So-
is done, right?
If you were to go back in time and mess something up by interacting with a person and causing some change,
Yeah, we don't want to do Back to the Future here, right? With
Possibly.
a paradox.
possibly you create a time paradox and erase your whole existence.
Right. So they're not allowed to do that.
But instead of telling them that that's what's going on, all the monsters are just taught that humans are from another dimension and they're toxic.
And if you touch them, you're going to die.
Right.
Yeah. Now
So
so
here's the theory.
Okay.
The monsters are, in fact, as you're saying, they have realized that it's humans who are the power of all of this magic.
yes, they
Stemming
are the
from
fuel.
back from the time of Merida.
Right.
They're what's pushed the evolution, what's pushed the forward forward momentum of the humans, of the machines, of the AI.
Right. And it's all about emotion.
Right.
Not just like in Monsters Inc. fear, but laughter,
The imaginative, the
depression,
creative spark,
everything.
all of that in humans. And without the humans, they have no way to further their society.
Correct.
So they have to go harness this energy.
And by doing so, they have to go backward to find the humans because they're gone.
Because all the humans are gone now.
Right. And now there is evidence that shows this. There are specific pieces of evidence that show this movement backward in time. The easiest one to pick out is Randall. When he is going through doors, he ends up in a little trailer. And I actually have it just right here in front of me, it pulled up the picture, the side-by-side shots of this little, it's a pull-behind little camper trailer. And beside it is a pizza truck from Pizza Planet that's parked.
Right.
And we see Randall through the door, like through the window, in the past, where he ends up in this trailer that looks almost new, or very much more new than do you see it later, because like in this same scene, a lot later in A Bug's Life, we see the same exact trailer with the same exact Pizza Planet truck, but it's all worn out and run down. Vegetation is a lot drier, indicating that it's like, in the future, and that everything is kind of it's destroyed and polluted. So we see that for sure right there. And we also know that Monsters Inc. takes place well after A Bug's Life.
Right.
So we know that they are time jumping at this point.
Right. And what if, here's another theory that came out there. What if Edna from The Incredibles got her idea for the invisible suit because she saw Randall?
Because you saw Randall? Dude, I love it. Oh, I love it. Yes, that's pretty awesome. Oh, yeah.
So,
And we also know that a lot of this, we'll get to that in a minute. So
now
anyway.
we've established from Brave to Monsters, Inc., we have a flowing, continuous timeline of the Disney Pixar universe, right?
No, we're not done.
We're not done.
We're not done.
Wait. We got it. You said that. You
There's
said
a
that
beginning.
Monsters, Inc.
You
was
said
the end.
beginning. You said beginning and end. I didn't say anything about beginning and end. I said that they all are connected in the same universe.
Right, but you said that Monsters, Inc. is the furthest in the future.
Furthest in the future.
And you said
that is chronicled at the moment.
that Brave
Is the beginning.
is the beginning of it all.
Yes.
Well, there's the dinosaur one,
Right.
which obviously dinosaurs come before humans, so
But-
that would have to be back there. But
Exactly. But there's a glitch. There is a disturbance in the force. There is a little girl that
I'm not sure I like where you're going with this.
that really, really sets all of this in motion. And it's with one of the earliest films. I mean, when we go back and we look at the films that started Pixar, that really got them going, that had them take off. You look back at Toy Story, that was their big one, right? And then Monsters Inc. came along. And the Monsters Inc. really is the one where they said, okay, this needs to be, we need to really think about the universe that all of this takes place in, because I think it all happens in the same spot. And this little girl, Boo, that Sully just falls head over heels for, because she's just a little doll, is the catalyst for the entire Disney Pixar universe. Yes, the emotion is the energy. But if you don't have a tool to focus that energy, it's useless. She is that tool. Now, sweet little Boo never gets over Sully. We know that. She's, even in the movie, she's trying to coax him, she's begging him to stay. She wants him to be with her. She offers him her Nemo. She offers him her little Jessie doll. She's trying. She's giving him her most prized possessions,
Right.
to try to get Sully to stay. And he knows he can't. He knows he can't. And instead, the door gets shredded. And Mike works for a long time to try to get that door to put back together.
Mike
Wazowski. So she remembers throughout, from her childhood, that doors are the link to finding Sully. She knows that he came out of her closet door. Kitty came out of the closet door. I'm going to find Kitty again, and I'm going to go through that door to find him.
Okay.
She eventually figures out how to use these doors, the time travel part of this. And specifically, it's wooden doors. No other type of door is used in either monster movie, film. It has to be a wooden door. They shred them. That's one of the things that they do to lock down that area, that door.
Right.
So when she figures out how this time travel is used using wooden doors, she starts to search for Sully. She's trying nonstop to find him, which drops her effectively at any point in the Disney Pixar universe. She can start from Brave and end at Monsters, Inc. and drop in at any point in time. That being said, she ends up going back to the source of all this magic, the Will-O-Wisps. She creates magic to find Sully. She's the one that harnesses this Will-O-Wisp power. We know this because she's in Brave. She's just not recognizable.
You're full of it.
The old witch in Brave is our little Boo. So We know this for sure because in her little workshop where she is a wood carver, she has carved a picture of Sully. It's either in the tree itself or the door frame. I cannot remember exactly where the spot is that she has carved. But, it's just in a piece of wood that's kind of just setting off to the side. Very, very, very detailed picture of Sully. And she's carving the pizza truck. Her two favorite things in the world. So, she's also carving a statue of David, or not David, the thinking man.
The thinker?
Yeah, the thinking man. That's what she does, but she basically got back there and got stuck. Never could find her long-lost Sully, Kitty.
So she found the way to travel through the doors, but she never, kind of like Sam from Quantum Leap.
Never know where you're going to end up.
She couldn't find out where she ends up.
Which also explains why we end up with the bugs from A Bug's Life, like Flick and Heimlich from A Bug's Life showing up in Toy Story 2. At some point, Boo must have traveled into the future and fell into the Wall-E time period era. When she came back out, she brought bugs with her. They were just on her clothing and dropped them off in Toy Story.
Or they saw her and followed her out of curiosity, maybe.
Possibly. That's possible as well.
At that point, they were hyper-intelligent creatures.
But Buzz just, he they're right in front of him. He moves a branch out of the way with them on it, with Flick and Heimlich on it. So, and yeah, so she finds out that that wood is the source of all of this power, like the magic. Think of Avatar, the trees having this interconnected. It's like it's basically they describe Pandora as having more synaptical like connections than the human brain. This thing is the planet speaks, and the trees are how you access it. She kind of figures this out.
I've never seen Avatar, so
good film for a watch. But yeah, so they find out that all of the doors are made of wood. It has this energy to travel through time. Bug's Life. It's also this wood. The tree is the source of Flick's ingenuity. And you're right. It bears a resemblance to the tree that we see, like in Up with Carl and Ellie. The tree kind of is another part of all of this that fits together. So what does John say about all this?
All right. Well, I was playing a little bit.
I know.
He says the same thing. Sort of. It's not so much about wood, but just that Sully going back in time enamors Boo.
Right.
Who you said also later is Andy's mom.
I think so. I think at some point in there, she drops in and she becomes Andy's mom. It's simply because, again, she has the Jessie doll. We know that Jessie was, her owner, which was, what was her name? Emily. We never do get Boo's name. We never get the witch's name.
Nope.
Sully calls her Boo.
Or Andy's mom. And
we never get Andy's mom's name. So I think that she's probably the same person. And there's a couple of key little things. And this is just really quick sidebar. Andy's hat that he constantly is wearing throughout Toy Story 1 and 2 is not a Woody hat. It's not a Woody hat. Woody's hat is brown. Woody's hat has brown stitch or kind of tan stitching on the outside edge of it, and it has a dark brown band. The one that he's wearing is actually the girl Jessie's hat. It's a red hat with white stitching around it. You can see where the band was at one time. You can't necessarily because the band is gone, meaning that hat belonged to Andy's mom. It was a hand-me-down.
Right.
Probably Woody was as well, because he is a toy from the past. She abandons Jesse. She basically donates Jesse, but I think that she probably lets Jesse and the horse.
I've seen the first Toy Story, man. It doesn't have any of those people in it.
Okay. So anyway, she lets those two go. And I think it's because she knows that she's having a little boy at some point. I mean, I think because it's right about the time that she's going off to college, she drops the box off for donation. So I think at that point she knows she's having a little boy, so she keeps Woody. She keeps her hat. And eventually those end up as Andy's.
Right on. So John says pretty much the same thing. So maybe instead of us having a nice linear story, we've got a circular one. So Boo becomes enamored with Kitty, and she wants to know why all the animals and stuff around her aren't as smart as Sully and Mike, and why they don't act that way and talk. And it sparks the curiosity in her to try to find them again. And she remembers that doors were the key to finding Kitty.
Right, because that's where you came from.
And so she eventually somehow, now John doesn't have a really good explanation for this, but eventually somehow she figures out how to make the magic of the doors or the technology of the doors work to incorporate time travel. And she ultimately serially travels through the doors, trying to find Sully. She never makes it back to him, but in the end, she winds up way back in ancient Scotland as the witch.
Yeah.
So he says pretty much the same thing.
It's amazing.
But
to think that these children's films have gone to a point in detail that they all work together. They all have little Easter eggs in each one of them that alludes to the other. And to now, as an adult, because like I said, My Little Pumpkin is watching, she is experiencing Disney Pixar movies for the first time. And what she's seeing and what I'm seeing now are two completely different things. I watched Toy Story years ago when it came out and thought, man, this is really good. For computer animation, this is amazing.
Right.
And they have just gotten better. I mean, it's all that can really be said about them. The technology has gotten better. The stories are just as good as what they started with. And to know that they all exist in the same world is I don't know. It warms my heart. It really does. Because I think they put something like that in it, not for a kid. They put it in it for the adult that's in the room saying, hey, I see how these can go together.
Right. Now, I like the way John sums it up here.
Yeah.
The love of different people of different ages and even different species finding a way to live on Earth without destroying it because of a lust for energy.
Dude, that's deep. I love it. That's awesome. Heck yeah. Yeah.
So that's it.
That's it.
It's all a big circle.
It is all a big circle. Everything ties together. And
everything revolves around Boo.
Everything. You know, how could it not, though? She's a cutie.
Mike Wachowski.
And, you know, I thought it was really nice, too, at the end there where, you know, the guys were able to interact with humans, like through comedy and stuff like that.
The little stand-up routines.
Yeah, that was nice. So that is the Disney Pixar universe, kind of nutshelled. I definitely am going to throw up a couple of these links. I've got I already have them pulled up here. We'll throw them on our website. Also, there is at least one, if not two, links to videos as well that kind of sums it up in a nutshell. If you'd like to just kind of watch to see how they work together, but yeah, it's a fun little thing to dive into for sure.
Yeah. And you can post those links.
Yeah, I'm going to post them to facebook.com/Two Minds Podcast, where you can see pretty much everything we do.
Right on, right on. And if you want to get involved in the conversation, leave us a message there. Or you can shoot us a tweet at Two Minds Podcast.
Yeah. Or if you have like this burning question, you really want to know what happens with Boo, or you need to figure out how a little part of it works, give us an email, shoot us an email at twomindspodcast@gmail.com.
And as always, you can find this and all of our episodes on our hosting site, twominds.podbean.com.
Absolutely. So this one was fun tonight. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed this whole
it was.
Disney Pixar universe.
And
thing.
it totally shredded my mind, dude. I was not prepared to have anything like this coming out of Disney Pixar.
You wouldn't think. I mean, like I say, it's for them.
Yeah, it was totally way out of left field to me.